OP's sister is racist, rude, toxic, manipulative, and the craziest part about this story I'm about to bring to you, OP's sister is taking all this out on a child. I've decided what I want to do with my sister and parents. I've had enough of their crappy and insensitive behavior, and I know that I can record each time they cross a boundary and display it for the whole world to see. Besides teaching them personal lessons, I will also just prove that bad things happen to bad people all the time. Karma will come knocking at your door. I'm shaking and crying as I write this, but I'm pretty sure she's laughing in her sophisticated office building, laughing after she ruined my only son's first birthday party with his new friends. My sister is the most ridiculous person you will ever come across. It's hard to see how big of a jerk she is because she is one charming woman, and that's why she made it to the media. But if you spend 2 hours with this woman, you will not need to go to hell to meet the devil. It'll be right in front of your face. My parents supported this behavior and they stuck with her because she earns more than I do. Together, these three make a trio of, well, idiots. I've decided to share my problem here because I'm sure I will receive good advice. I want to deal with my family, and although I've decided what to do, you can be the judge. I'll wait for your response before taking any steps. But before that, let me begin with what happened for me to finally move. I'm Susan, and I live with my husband Eric and my son Jason. My first meeting with Eric was at a social club. We picked up quickly, and after dating for a little more than a year, we decided to marry. Eric is not white, and I knew the moment I've loved him that my family would be the biggest issue. Even then, I was not ready for the blowout that my family had with our wedding plans. It was ridiculous, and it was racist. Eric could not say much, but I could. I stood up for my choice and promised I could not care less if my children were mixed race. I also promised that if they did not want to be a part of this relationship, I would not bother them about it. They were holding on to a possible agreement from my side, and when that did not come, they finally accepted. It was almost like they were doing me a favor, absolutely ridiculous. You imagine that this behavior stopped them, right? No. Keeping my family in mind, that could not have happened. The racist remarks were subtle at every meeting, and my father would do his best to make political comments. These comments often ridiculed, quote, woke people. Eric's older brother was gay and married to a man, and this relationship often became the butt of their horrible jokes. Is that because they are religious people? No, not really. They considered themselves and their beliefs above everybody else. They have their reason, and my sister Lindsay often had a field day with this. And when she was bored with Eric's skin color, she would be busy with his older brother's marriage. We often ignored this, but asked him to stop. Sometimes it worked, and sometimes it didn't. It did not stop there, though, guys. Listen to this. Because our son was born, Jason was the loveliest person both Eric and I had ever seen. He seemed to capture my family's attention for a while before losing all of them. He received his first surgery at age 2 and was diagnosed with cerebral palsy the same year. Lindsay and my mother, Clara, considered him a headache. That's right. Jason's fate was decided, in their opinion, and Eric and I decided to keep Jason out of their reach. But words do not care for distance, do they? Lindsay started getting close to Jason. Sometimes she would leave him alone in my absence and just watch him cry. Her face often filled with vile mirth. My parents hushed her sometimes, but that was it, and Lindsay never changed, and neither did they. We disallowed her from meeting Jason after a particular incident. She was at our place. He was 4 at the time, and it was pretty decent until she received a call from her friends. She introduced me to them and then introduced Jason as, quote, and that's the spaz. Well, it took me a while to understand it, and until then, she had never been directly mean to him. That was the first time, and when I kicked her out of the house, she was full of laughter. Well, her behavior was so repulsive that I was ready to commit a hate crime against her. It was wrong, and 4-year-old Jason knew it was a bad word, and several people had called him that, and none had really been good. Now, his aunt had done it to him, and Eric and I decided to never allow her anywhere near Jason again. I mean, who makes fun of a little kid? We continued to keep this promise for the next 4 years, until Jason's 8th birthday. To be more precise, it was a special moment. After years of research and observation, Eric and I decided on a school. I was inclusive of kids of all backgrounds, and I had a friendly environment, and Jason made friends there. We decided to throw a big birthday celebration and invite Jason's friends, and by that time, Lindsay has been apologizing for her behavior for years. Because it was such a happy moment, we did not think much about it and gave her an invite. Yeah, I know, I agree, it was a slight on our side. However, at the time, we believe she must have changed her behavior for her fiancé. She had found a rich executive from the same media company she worked for and engaged with him last year. It made sense to us. It was a bad thing to suppose that she had come drunk. Something had happened between her fiancé and her, and she had just waged rage against my little son and my husband. At first, it went really well. Jason cut his cake and his friends wished him a happy birthday, but 10 minutes later, though, she got up from her slumber and started barking abuse like a jerk. Because I have several friends of different races and ethnicities, many people became her targets that night. But Jason and Eric were the biggest targets. She just did not shut up about them. Once she grabbed Jason's left arm to wave it and laughed when Jason could just do little to defend himself, and at that time, Eric shoved her away. Now, she had something to say to Eric, and she used colorful language akin to that of bullies. One of my friends tried to cool her down, and even another, he just pulled up their phones to record the entire event. It was then that I thought I knew how to tackle her. My parents did not do much at first, but when they saw hateful faces around them, they left with Lindsay. She had called my son a cripple in 100 different languages, and I knew I had to do something. Jason refused to go to school for the next 2 weeks, and all he did was cry. His fits were bad during this time, and we banned Lindsay for good from our family and refused to allow even my parents to be near any of us. In those 2 weeks, I thought back to everything that she's done and said in similar ways. While talking to Eric, I remembered a comment that she made about her boss's humanitarian efforts. It was in a video accidentally taken by Jason when he had just learned what a phone was. It was an old video, so it took me a while to find it, and when I did, I edited that part out and saved it in a separate folder. I didn't know what I wanted to do yet, but I kept it there just in case, and Lindsay's boss did a lot of charity work from SNS. I found it. It was because his brother's daughter had died from being bullied for her physical disability. It was personal to him, but an old video will not do, so I devised a plan. I often let Jason in Eric's care and met her and talked to her, and each time she spoke something of the same kind, so I recorded it. It was hectic work, and I lost a lot of time doing it, but the idea of revenge had driven me mad by then, and I just wanted to see her fall. I have little ideas of how these recordings will affect her, but considering she works for a media company and represents a company that performs lots of charity work, this will not be good, right? I have no idea how or when I'll execute this, but I want to proceed with it. I'll be waiting for your suggestions, and I'm unsure about the timing as well. I guess it'll work only in the presence of important people. From Lindsay's boss's history, I'm sure that he's sincere about his efforts. But every time Lindsay stands in the background for group photos after a charity event, it boils my blood. That piece of crap obviously does not believe any of it. That's why she leaves these crass messages in our family group chat whenever she has to attend one of the events. She cannot change, I'm telling you. She's refused to be a better person, and you have to trust me, alright? I've spent 33 years with that woman. I know her. I know. If I sound pretty mad about this, that's because I am. After the entire fiasco, Lindsay has not apologized to any of us, not even once. Not even to Jason, and he is just a kid. My parents have sent their apologies, but they sound insincere. You would expect people at that age to be more insensitive, and all they sent was, "Please say we're sorry to your friends on Lindsay's behalf. We'll come to see how little Jason is doing if you allow us." What? Maybe exposing Lindsay's truth at the right time will teach my parents a lesson too. I'm holding on to that idea because even my parents have gotten on my nerves. Before I do any of this though, I would like to hear opinions from you guys. Is what I'm doing enough? If not, how about you suggest a little more? I have no sympathy for the lunatic mess, and I cannot think of anything else. If you guys have an idea, drop it down below. Top comments from the first post. Comment number 1. Seriously? Are you sure you're not exaggerating? Let me get this straight. Y'all sat down and decided what kind of person y'all siblings are by a few mistakes? Judgmental? What? Okay, I agree she made a mistake, but wanting to ruin her future for that's horrible. Albeit, racist people are not cool. But so are not you. Using your son's name to ruin your successful sister's future for your spite, horrible. Just talk to them and it'll be okay. Why do you even have to bring your family drama to the whole world? You sound hateful, to be honest, and if there's nothing in this world that's just talking won't solve, then talk. How can we know how horrible your sister is if you don't even want to tell us what she said? I'm sure she's a redeemable person. God will forgive her. You can show her the way. Comment 2. My first thought was how bad the situation could be, and I'm not going to lie, but I'll keep my distance from your family. I'm going to address one of the comments here first. Yeah, what OP wants to do is horrible, and I want her to do that again and again until her sister learns her freaking lesson. People have got to take responsibility for themselves, right? I mean, come on. And it's better if Lindsay learned too, because I don't want another horrible person in power. We have enough of them. Comment 3. If I may suggest it to you, do the same with your parents. Make sure to play all the recordings nice and long in front of all the fiancé and boss. You'll save a life. Besides, who knows who else she's bullying? It could be even more horrible people on the other side. Just thinking of this just sends shivers down my spine. I'm sorry, but your parents are jerks too. Final comment before update 1. I've had a similar experience with my best friend. I could not do what you did though, but I will live through your success, give them the same energy they've given you, and tell us what happened. Update number 1. Hey guys. It's been a few weeks since the last time we talked, and honestly, I've spent most of the time taking care of Jason and recording Lindsay and my parents. Yeah, even my parents think that I've, decided what to do. Firstly, I'd like to address the person at the top of the comment section. I am not exaggerating. I will be in front of your God and tell him the same things I said last time. Lindsay is a horrible woman. Everything she does makes me want to bawl my eyes out because she is a frustrating bully. She's a freaking jerk, and I will not change my words. I hate her. I despise her very existence. So yes, exposing her in front of her boss and ruining her future will give me satisfaction, and I don't care what you think. There, you have it. You do what you want to do now. I'll even make sure that her fiancé is present, and that will serve her right. It should be enough of a reason for her to change. You're not supposed to defend a racist. I'll not say even another word that she said, but I've told you she's called my son a spaz in front of me. Is that enough to understand her? Even if not, she's done the same thing several times with different words. She has never learned her lesson. This makes her the villain in my life, to be honest, and on top of that, she is in the media. People like her say words without meaning them because it gives them money. How can you allow a person like that to be successful? They're harmful to society, and I can guarantee my younger sister, Lindsay, age 33, is harmful to society. Anyways, let's get back to where this update should be. I've not told Eric about any of this, so I have no one to share this with other than you guys. Several people agreed that this may be the only way to get under her skin. Most of all, there's a good chance that this will blow up. The company she works for is not that big, but is doing well. The chance that this will have consequences is high. I'm feeling slightly impatient about this thing, and why am I feeling impatient, you ask? Well, there's a reason for that. I heard 2 days ago that Lindsay received a promotion. Yeah, the scammer has received a promotion. What a joke. Besides her, our parents are the happiest, and do you believe that they've forgiven her for the stunt that she pulled on Jason's birthday? Oh, no, don't say it in that illusion. They were never upset at her to begin with. They were ashamed, yeah, but they weren't upset. If they were upset with her, who would have paid for the next trip to the same exotic location? Laugh out loud? Definitely not me. Anyways, the point is that she has gotten a promotion. To celebrate it, she has set up a date for a party, and it will be at her place. She has money, so we all know it's going to be a pretty big event, and if it's true, she has invited her boss, colleagues, staff members, people from different media companies, cameramen, her fiancé, and our parents. Yes, we received invitations, but Eric has refused to attend. That means Jason will not be there either. It was particularly upsetting for Linda, well, because she had a fall-proof plan. Just to use Jason to establish an image of herself in front of her boss in the media. See, I'm not imagining anything. I've told you, she is evil. I'm gonna go still. You and I know why. But Eric doesn't. He gets upset for a while, but then recovers himself, and I swear to every god that there is that he is a very composed man. It's impossible to shake that man off of his axis. Besides any such details, I have something else to inform you of. I've checked the number of videos and recordings, and there's 64 in total, excluding the ones from years ago. One of the top suggestions said that I should do the same to my parents, and they consider themselves high-class people, so what better way to show them the reality, right? I wholeheartedly agree, and I thank you for that comment. That is why I recorded my parents too. If I add their recordings together, then I've crossed over 110. That's a lot, I know. I'll keep it balanced. The worst will go first, and I would like to end soon. I will not want to listen to all the rubbish for longer than it's going to take just to get a reaction. The party will be little more than a month from today. You can mark your calendars. I'll be back with an update, and I'll let you know what it all came down to and if it worked. For my sanity's sake, I hope it does. I've wasted a lot of time doing this. I don't want to waste more of my life on this. Update number 2. Wow. So much has happened since the last time I've posted. I realize it's been a few weeks, quite a few, but they have not been peaceful. For Lindsay and my parents at least, it's all crazy, as I promised it probably would be. I did as I promised, guys. There are not many details to give that would not be boring, right? But I've got a couple things to share. Don't worry, it's all related to my sister and my parents. First, I would like to say I am not a vindictive person. I'm so busy with Jason that I have little time to find fun in someone's misery. But Lindsay, now that's a whole other situation. That is where I intended to lose my morals, and guys, I did. I was crazy nervous, but I'm glad things worked out well. Eric, though, he's not very pleased at my behavior, but even he thinks Lindsay and my parents deserved it. So, take that, Lindsay. So, the day the party arrived, it was chaotic to say the least. Lindsay claimed she prepared everything well, but the food turned out bad. The restaurant she ordered food from was good only for its name. It didn't serve, pun intended, Even though I returned home on an empty stomach, I admit it was a beautiful setup. I hated to ruin it with my plans. But it had to be done. I waited until she made her impression, given interviews, and talked to a few influential people before deciding on a perfect time. I was so nervous, but somehow I kept going. Lindsay's fiancé was with her, and you could see from his appearance that he cared a lot about his image. It was the same with Lindsay's boss. He was sincere regarding the charity events, but even he cared for his image. That made sense, though. We all care about how we look to the world, right? The sad thing was that it was time for Lindsay to learn her lesson. The fact that it went like this was all her fault. While everyone munched at their food, I played the recordings on a makeshift screen. That makeshift screen was a wall. The sudden burst of colorful videos with colorful language took everybody by surprise. In less than a minute, everybody recovered from the shock and realized what was happening. I heard camera clicks. I was sure somebody had put it on a live stream. It was all good news for me, and Lindsay scrambled to put it off, but everything was with me. How could she stop it? She was as helpless as I was on Jason's birthday. Just feeling like that felt so nice. When I was sure Lindsay's fiancé and boss understood the situation at hand, I looked for my parents. They were standing away from Lindsay and looked like they wanted to leave. I played their videos next. It was a mess after that. Even for me, I wanted to keep my identity hidden, but Lindsay came up with me soon. It took Lindsay a little time to understand that it was all me. It was all my fault, and she got aggressive. In a way, she exposed herself in that moment. She looked for me, and when she found me, the first thing she did was scream, "I will hurt your son!" She actually would have charged me if her boss had not stopped her at the last second. She seemed to calm down a bit, but I encouraged her further. But it was not a provocation. I just told her it was tit for tat, and that she deserved it after what she had done for Jason's birthday. The memory of her deeds made her so mad. It got her boss's attention, though. When he asked what I meant by that, I explained everything word for word. He explained to me in a subdued voice how much he cared about these things and how these charities meant a lot to him after the death of his niece. Then he apologized for any impression he assumed I must have developed for him and offered me full financial support for Jason. You should have seen his face. He was hurt. It was personal to him, and if he were not a self-respecting person, he probably would have dragged her through hell right then and there, but he did worse. I was not there to witness it, though, but by then I had packed my stuff and decided to leave the house. I no longer wanted to be a part of the drama. Before I could leave, I met my parents for a brief moment, and they were upset at me and looked like they would never forgive it. When they asked why I did it, I told them about every deed that they've committed. Even more, I reminded them that if they had taken care of Lindsay better, it would, have never come down to this. I left, and I had nothing else to say. What was the quote worst thing I mentioned? Well, I'll tell you about that the next time we talk. I'm not revealing it right now because I'm sure there's more to come for her. So if we enjoy this, we should enjoy the entire situation. Am I right? Until then, share your thoughts with me in the comment section, and I promise that the second favorite form of entertainment these days is reading your comments. The first one is Lindsay's inevitable downfall. I'll also let you know about Eric and Jason. I understand that some of you are concerned about them, especially Jason. Update number 3. Hey, to make up for the last time, I'll immediately jump onto where I left off. First of all, though, the rude commenters can duck off. I knew what I did would ruin Lindsay's life, but I don't know, it was something she deserved. If I had the money, I would have printed her face on a billboard and made an advertisement to raise awareness against racism and everything else she stands for. Its tagline would have been, "Don't be an a-hole." There you have it. Does that make my feelings for her more clear? I hope it does, because I'm sick of her. Nothing in this world will ever make her a better person, and that will only be because she will never try to be one. How can I say it with confidence? She's a 33-year-old woman. You can take your guess there. Anyways, on to where I left off. Lindsay was fired from her job right before an Instagram Live in the media. It happened publicly. I mean, over 15,000 people tuned in to watch the live broadcast. It was bad, trust me. I've watched YouTube uploads of it, and her boss apologized for the wasted evening and then fired her. It was so funny, she had tears in her eyes, but I knew it was not because Lindsay was sorry for what she's done. She was sorry because she got caught. Soon after, a few other colleagues and staff members came forward to expose very offensive things that Lindsay had said to them under the guise of a joke. Secondly, her fiancé broke off the relationship right then and there. He looked ashamed. His Instagram has like 700,000 followers, and I'm telling you, 700,000 people are enough to make you question your life. This thing was private though, but someone sneaked it onto them and recorded the entire thing, and I just think it was Lindsay's fiancé's friend or acquaintance. He probably just wanted to clear his name. Quickly, couple days after this, he explained the situation in his life. He once again admitted that he had broken all relations with Lindsay and was ashamed that he did not see her for the woman she truly was. Then he said that he was sorry if it hurt anyone. Her boss did the same thing, and he explained his background. Then his sincerity about charity and that he would never do anything to hurt his niece's soul. It was so sincere that I was sorry I handled the situation that way. Anyways, a week after the whole thing, he contacted us and promised us full medical and school support for Jason, because Jason often has to undergo surgeries. It means a lot to us. In the meantime, Eric and I decided to save for his college. Okay, now time for the important stuff, guys. Pay attention. Lindsay and my parents no longer talk. My parents have started avoiding Lindsay and running a little ice cream truck to keep up with their fancy dreams. Lindsay came to us once asking for help in a way, but we refused. She wanted a place to stay for $1,000 in cash, and we refused. I refused instantly, way more than Eric did, but you get the idea. She gave her fake apologies, but I did not care, so now she has nowhere to go. Nobody wants to hire her anymore, a fear of backlash, and no one wanted to go back to it. My parents don't talk to me either, but sometimes they try to look like they want to rebuild the relationship, and we just keep our distance. How can a person mess up so badly, you ask? Well, I don't know what she'll even do to tackle this thing in her life, but that's none of my business. She's all on her own now. I could giggle at her misery, but I will not. I'll laugh though. But in the end, I want to know if she has learned anything. It should humble her, right? Or should I have done something way worse? Let me know. Anyways, enough about them. Now, Jason and Eric, in Eric's case, as much as I hate to admit it, he's dealt with racist remarks all his life. Even though he feels hurt, he gets over stuff pretty quick. His focus is on his family and work and nothing else, so we keep him busy. In Jason's case, it's a little more complicated. Jason, I'm not saying this because he's a delicate flower. I know he's a strong boy, but he's still learning to live with himself, and he still compares himself to other kids, and you can guess how Lindsay's remarks have hurt his self-respect. He has friends, and they play games on the PlayStation whenever they're together, and I guess it'll take some time, but you can expect that from a kid. I know it's been quite a ride, but I'm grateful for those who listened and gave valid responses. I wanted to deal with Lindsay, and I'm glad you guys stood through this. Thank you. Comment number 1. Wow, that was actually a wild ride. I know for sure I wanted Lindsay to pay for all the stuff she did, but I never wanted her to be in this bad of a position. Her reputation is tarnished, and I'm glad you did it, to be honest. One less man in the world. The same goes with your parents, and they never sounded like the ideal grandparents to begin with. And they're still running after fancy dreams. I will never allow my kids to be near people like them. Not that I have kids, but whenever I do, I will just never allow them anywhere near this sort of person. If you hear more about your sister, give us another update. I want to know what she's up to. Comment 2. Hello, dear. It's your grandma chiming in, and oh, my heart aches. When I see you youngsters going through such struggles, I've been around the block a few times and seen my fair share of people. Just like in your family, I tend to keep my distance from not-so-nice people. Life's too short for this nonsense. And now about your son. Darling, I truly hope he learns to embrace himself. You see, this world can be a rough place on folks who have not learned to love themselves. If I were his grandma, goodness gracious, I'd be sneaking him cookies whenever that sweet tooth of his desired. Oh, pardon me, that's one of the few things these old hands can offer. I'd just love to meet your little one someday, if fate allows. This right here, chatting with you, is my bit of fun. Now, take care of that precious son of yours, dear. I'm sure he'll grow up to be quite the fine gentleman. Just to be honest with you guys, I still think OP's sister got off the hook way too light. I mean, besides the fact that she was toxic, she was also racist. But besides that fact, which is a huge fact in its own, she took out all her anger on a little kid. A helpless kid who's already probably being bullied at school now has to hear from her. It was ridiculous. She was a vile human being, and I simply think getting her thrown out of her job and embarrassed in front of a few hundred people, it wasn't enough. It was not enough. All she has to do is pack her bags, go to a new city, and nobody will know who she is. Let me know your thoughts about this story. It was a tough one to get through, just because of how toxic the situation was. My name's Mr. Reddito. Thank you for joining me today. I narrate stories every single day, all sorts of topics. Inheritance dramas, mother-in-law disputes, Karen in the Wild stories, all sorts of things. Hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And just remember, there's a lot of evil in this world, so it's cool to be kind. See ya.